emotional needs and should be able to identify the root of a child's misbehavior in class or their reluctance to participate in classroom activities. Despite having good academic qualifications, also, many individuals find it very difficult to function at workplaces because of their inability to empathize with their co workers and operate in a team. Therefore, it is very essential to help students develop soft skills as well as learn empathy and compassion. Our next guest of today is a very young and dynamic entrepreneur who has established a company which talks beyond academic excellence and intelligence. He has created and conducted multiple curriculum experiments, assessments, and research on emotional intelligence, based on which the delivery model of his organization, Beyond EQ, is designed. With an overall experience of 14 plus years, he has taught people to transform their challenges into opportunities. He has coached and trained over 1,000 individuals till date in reference to emotional intelligence, soft skills, critical thinking, conflict management, sales, customer service, and skill development. Apart from that, he is also a neuro-linguistic programming practitioner and rational emotive behavior therapy and cognitive behavioral therapy counselor. We are glad to have him here with us today. He is going to share his thoughts on emotional intelligence and ethics. So, may I have the proud privilege to welcome Mr. Sunny Dev, CEO Beyond EQ.
Thank you so much, Devasmita. That was a lot to take in.
You
Uh,
are most welcome.
thank you, thank you. So before we begin with anything, I want you all to be aware, and I want to say this that I do not want this to be a regular webinar where I'm talking and you're listening. Okay, I want it to be interactive. If possible, I would also request a few of you people, if you have the bandwidth, internet is there, and if it is good, I would also request you to switch on your video so that I'm not just talking to myself. ओके ये बहुत थोड़ा अलग सेशन होने वाला है आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू बी टीचिंग इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस क्योंकि 1.5 आवर इज नॉट इनफ फॉर इट बट हम क्या करेंगे वी विल try and understand why it is so important and how can we get to it and what are the benefits. Okay, so what I will do is I will go ahead and I will share my screen now. Please let me know once you're able to see it screen. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is visible.
Perfect. So let's begin, and a very warm welcome to everyone who's here today. And I hope that by the end of this session, something very important which we all most probably did not give much attention to or importance to. I hope we understand its importance and start accepting it as a part of life and trying to build it for the future. Okay. So before we start with the session, I have stats. आप लोग के सामने मैं थोड़ा सा stats कर चाहता हूँ एंड ऐसे आपको बहुत सारे मिल जाएंगे इंटरनेट पे ठीक है but these are few so that I can like to bring your attention and your inquisitiveness session. So for example, approximately 82% of the global companies they do EQ test for executive positions. From and also 70% of these companies do the same EQ test for middle management and 59% do it for the entry level. So you can see बहुत सारे companies they have started adopting emotional intelligence, and the higher you go in your field in reference to designation, the more important it becomes, especially when you talk about leadership positions, right? Okay. A few stats that we have here, which is 40-year-old studies that was done by PhDs from UC Berkeley. They found that EQ is 400% more powerful than IQ. Okay. That's huge. 400%, not one, not two, not 100, but 400% more powerful than IQ. अब तक हम ऐसी जिंदगी जीते रहे हैं जहाँ पे people have been taught and we have been made to believe that the higher IQ, the more successful you are in life. But that is not the case. Your growth, your the performance, the success you get in life from that only 20% or less than 20% accounts for IQ, and above 80% is EQ. Okay, you can see if you see here, you'll be able to see that 90% of the top performers, score high on emotional intelligence, and only 20% of performers still score high on emotional intelligence. That means performance definitely somewhere or other, is in correlation with higher emotional intelligence. Okay. Apart from that, World Economic Forum, they have published that emotional intelligence is going to be one of the top 10 desired skills in the coming future. And if you see here, from 500 companies, they have seen a twice increase, a 2x increase in productivity. They have seen a 2x increase in annual performance. They have seen a 2x increase in the sales revenue, 8 times return on their investment, and 70% of the reasons why any company loses their customer is related to EI, emotional intelligence related problems. Okay, and if you see here, it is effective. Emotional intelligence makes leadership 3.2 times more effective than a leadership without emotional intelligence. Okay, and also there were 80 scientists across 40 years of span. They figured out that emotional intelligence is 4 times more important, than IQ. Okay, so we have a lot of stats here, and बहुत सारे आपको और इंटरनेट में मिल जाएंगे, उसकी कोई कमी नहीं. But now coming more to what I think, ये सब सुनने के बाद, I'll stop my screen sharing, and ये सब सुनने के बाद, I would like to know, maybe you can, if you want, you can unmute yourself and share, or if you want, you can put it on your chat. How do you feel after you have seen the statistics? ये stats, ये थोड़ा बहुत जो data मैंने जो दिखाया आपको, देख के आपको क्या लग रहा है? What is your top feeling?
So we are having a echo. I think you have also switched on your mobile. Logged on to your mobile.
Echo. No.
You have logged on from two sources, like?
No, only one source.
Then, sir, please make your sound a bit lower.
Okay. Okay. Just give me a second.
I think now it is fine.
Is better?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So, I would like to see some, texts on the chat. आपको ये statistics देख के कैसा लग रहा है? Anyone who wants to unmute and share? Nobody. Okay, no problem.
Anyone who wants to interact? Sir, my guide is here. So, Alok sir, sir, are you there?
Yes, I have a curiosity. You compared IQ and EQ for the success of a person.
Yes.
Is there any other Q beyond that?
Oh, there's a lot of cues. There is spiritual quotient, there's music intelligence. So there are different forms of intelligence. And
Okay.
the best part about emotional intelligence is that emotional intelligence is the only form of intelligence that connects all other forms of intelligence. If, for example, if you want to be spiritually intelligent, you need to be emotional intelligence. You need to know how to calm yourself. You need to know how to control your anger. You cannot be, spiritual and, do things that a non-spiritual person would do, right? So emotional intelligence is all of these intelligence together.
Okay, my second query is, can it be quantified, like with a number and all,
That is very, very difficult. The multiple
or it is
types,
subjective?
yeah, because there are multiple types of assessments, psychometric tests and personality tests and all that. But behavioral, aspects to measure behavior, to measure emotional intelligence, till date, there has been no concrete, 100%, foolproof assessment, or you can say a test profiling that is there.
Okay.
And apart from that, if you see that IQ is something that we have been focusing on for centuries, but EQ, it's from the last decade or two is when it has actually started to come into more
Right.
notion, and now people are exploring more research is happening. So I'm predicting that in the near future, the delivery models that there around emotional intelligence, that would definitely improve. For example, हमारे ही organization में the delivery model that we focus on is a very practical approach. For example, use a lot of motivational speakers. आप बहुत से mental health coach होते हैं, वो लोग बोलते be positive, don't think too much, but they somewhere you missed how. मतलब be positive, but how? That people feel really communicate and share. So the art, हमारा जो delivery model है, it talks about basically how can you actually influence your emotions so that you can control it better or manage it better rather.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I'll share the screen.
Himself a motivational speaker, so sir knows it better. So it will be very good interacting with him also.
Absolutely. I hope to have interaction, because emotional intelligence for people. One person, there is no emotional intelligence there. It's only self. अगर आप क्वेश्चंस पूछोगे तो आप क्लियर होगा, तो आपकी समझ और अच्छा होगा. That's how you grow, right? So that's very important. इसलिए मैंने कहा था कि if possible, videos will also help. Okay, so I'll share my screen once again. Okay, so we are done with this. Unfortunately, we did not get any response. So अभी हम क्या करेंगे? We'll go to emotional literacy. But emotional literacy पे जाने से पहले हम एक एक्टिविटी करेंगे. Okay? मुझे पता था कहीं ना कहीं कि शायद बहुत सारे लोग ऐसे ओपनली बोलना नहीं चाहेंगे या शेयर करना नहीं चाहेंगे. So for that, we have something called as Menti. So what I'm doing is sharing the link in the chat. आपको बस ये लिंक क्लिक करना है, और इस लिंक पे there is a question, and मैं चाहूंगा कि आप try attempt giving an answer to that. आपको मेरा स्क्रीन दिख रहा है? Okay, 90, okay, 10, okay, 50, okay. Come on, more. सिर्फ 3 लोग ने जवाब दिया है. We have more than 30 people. Few more. नाम नहीं आता है यहाँ पे. It's totally anonymous. You can put whatever numbers you want. According to you, आपके हिसाब से हम कितना percentage of brain use करते? 1%. Okay.
The people who are not answering, I think they don't use the brains.
No, that's
Is it?
no, that's not the case at all. Come on, guys, please, let's see some more numbers. आपको बोलना नहीं है, आपको चैट में भी नहीं ना है, यहाँ पे आपको सिर्फ लिंक पे डालना है. I think we can do more, better than 6. Okay, fine, no worries. So what we'll do is यहाँ पे मैं अभी हल्की वीडियो I will stop. Okay, and 10:1. Were you able to see my screen? Able to see this? Bismillah? Are you?
Yes, it is visible.
Okay. Okay. So 6 people have responded. We have 1, 10, 50, 90. Okay. Okay, in the chat also we have Priyadarshini says 10. Okay. Devas is 1. Okay. Great. So reality ये है कि हम we use 100% of our brain all the time. ठीक है. आप लोग जो कह रहे हो that might be in case of performance, but 1% तो is definitely not. We do definitely use a pretty good chunk of brain. But I'll give you an example. इस तरीके से सोचो कि it is a car that's run. You're driving a car and you stopped at the red signal. Okay, your engine is running. Okay, but you're not going forward, right? But even though you're not going forward, your engine is running completely. All pistons are firing. All the oil, the petrol, or the diesel, everything is flowing. And that combustion is happening, right, at all times, until unless you switch, correct? And in हमारे case में switch off नहीं कर सकते अपने आप को, right? So this would be a very easy example to understand that how we actually use our brain. Okay. Now, coming back to the next, I have another link, guys, and उसका link भी मैंने आपसे कर दिया. इसमें भी आपको ये लिखना है कि what is your topic. What is okay? Right understanding. ठीक है. और कोई आपके हिसाब से what is feeling? Reaction. Okay. और कोई emotion. Okay. Or okay. Emotional parameter. So nice. We're starting to get some reactions. We have perception. Very good. Very good. बढ़िया. और कोई yes. Change in blood pressure. Interesting. Good. Anyone else? Anyone else? Okay. ठीक है. So जिन्होंने भी आंसर किया है वो लोग दूसरा क्वेश्चन पे क्लिक उसी लिंक में आपको वहीं पे दिख रहा होगा क्वेश्चन. आप वो क्लिक करके नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन पे जा सकते हैं. एंड द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज व्हाट इज इमोशंस. सो यहाँ पे आप किसी ने लिखा था व्हाट इज फीलिंग में इमोशंस. सो व्हाट इज इमोशंस. थोड़ा कंफ्यूजिंग लग रहा है. Can we have any response? Strong feelings. Okay. So I'm getting a understanding from this that Emotions are feelings and feelings are emotions. Hormonal chemical change. Okay, nice. Anybody else? सब लोग है? Okay, I think the questions are a little different. We will stop here. Okay, and we'll go back to the presentation. Okay, so आपका जवाब देने के लिए this is basically what is emotional feeling. ठीक है, simple words में अगर मैं समझूं तो emotions are more physiological in nature. It has to do with your hormones and your bodily, functions. And it is mostly controlled by the limbic system. Okay, so emotions are something that we have very, very, very less control on. I would say actually hardly any control on. Okay, feelings are actually the processed emotions, with plus our own cognitive processing. ठीक है, so basically आपको एक एग्जांपल दूं तो लेट्स से तुम्हारे पीछे से कुछ टूटने का आवाज आया, ठीक है, एंड यू सडनली लाइक लेट्स से ठीक है, एंड तुम डर गए, okay? जो वो स्प्लिट सेकंड के लिए जो तुम्हारा बॉडी जो रिएक्ट करता है और जिस तरह से तुम जंप करते हो, दैट इज बेसिकली इमोशन दैट यू आर फीलिंग. ठीक है, an emotion that you're going through. Once that emotion process, उसके बाद आप जब देखोगे कि क्या टूटा, कैसा था, उसके बाद वो और कंटिन्यू होता है, जहां आपका रैशनल थिंकिंग, कॉग्निटिव प्रोसेसिंग इसको एक फीलिंग में चेंज करता है. दिस इज ड्रिवन मोस्टली बाय आवर नियोकॉर्टेक्स. ठीक है, सो ये भी थोड़ा सा कंफ्यूजिंग लग रहा होगा, बट why and this is all important. मैं क्यों आपको ब्रेन क्यों किस तरीके से फंक्शन होता है वो समझा रहा हूँ, क्योंकि एक आप ये समझ जाओगे ना, तो then you don't need me much. If you are a person who is into self exploring, if you're a person who likes to do research, you internet पे all this information is there. ठीक है, and you can start building that growth on your list. But how we function is very, very important. Actually, I was wanting you to share a little bit about how our brain functions. And now if you come, if you'll be able to see that we're going to be talking about the input system. Okay, for every mission you need an input and you'll get an output, right? Similarly, even in the system also, even in our brain as well, there is an input system and that is processed and then you react accordingly, right? So the five senses that we have are the ones that are the actual input system: your eyes, nose, ears, tongue, and skin. Okay, and all these feed information into your brain, and that's when your brain processes things. Okay, so if you see here, a computerized brain can process 24 trillion operations a second. क्या आप में से कोई गेस कर पाएगा या गेस करना चाहेगा कि हमारा एक्चुअल ब्रेन कितना ट्रिलियन ऑपरेशंस पर सेकंड प्रोसेस करता है? एनी गेसेस, एनीबॉडी? I can't see the chat क्योंकि स्क्रीन शेयरिंग है, तो इफ देवस्मिता अगर किसी ने चैट पे कुछ लिखा है तो प्लीज आप मुझे बताएंगे तो अच्छा होगा.
Not yet.
So anybody, देवस्मिता आपको क्या लगता है हम कितना ट्रिलियन ऑपरेशंस पर सेकंड ऑपरेट करते हैं?
The slide is actually visible, sir. That is 24 trillion operations per second.
That is computerized brain. हमारा
computer.
ह्यूमन ब्रेन जो है वो कितना?
I think it's like innumerable. We cannot count it
Okay. Anybody else?
because I think we also do multi-thinking. So we cannot process everything, as you told, into feelings.
Okay. कोई response
At
नहीं है?
a time, we think like 20, 30, 100 things also together sometimes.
Okay. Fair enough. Yes. So any response?
Do you, sir? Do you mean operation means the thought, number of thoughts, or
This is a very
mental activity?
this is a very beautiful question आपने जो पूछा है. So operation, so there consciously are a lot of things that is happening. For example, जब आप ये screen देख रहे हैं, apart from listening to what I'm saying, you are able to see the colors. You know as soon as you see this diagram on the screen, you know it's a brain. You can see sparkling happening around it. You know the words that you're reading, you can understand what it is. And all this happens automatically, so on a conscious level. आपको मतलब कुछ भी करने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती, ठीक है? As soon as you see, you know it's a brain, right? So ये सब सबकॉन्शियस लेवल में प्रोसेसिंग होती जा रही है. ऐसे ही 24 billion operations per second हो रही है. For example, right now breathing. So I know अगर क्या क्या गर्मी लग रही है, ठंडी लगी है, या what is am I feeling warm or not? वो मुझे बदल रहा है. There's so much information that our body is taking in. So and this is that information that I'm talking about. क्या समझ पाया?
Yes.
Okay. So to give you an answer, a human brain possesses 8 trillion operations per second. So means the best of the best computers are also not even close to how amazing our brain functions. ठीक है. Now इसी को एक स्टेप और आगे ले जाते हैं. तो 5 senses जो हमने बात किया था. So the eyes, the skin, the nose, the tongue, and the ठीक है. You'll be surprised that the eye is the number one source of information. Okay, 10 million bits per second information goes through your eyes. 10 billion, 10 million bits per second. That's a lot of information. Your skin, takes in 1 million bits per second information. Like from the point of how much breeze is there, to what is the temperature, what is the humidity, all of that our skin is sensing constantly, right? Then comes our ears and our sense of smell, which at 100,000 bits per second, and last, which is our taste buds. So this is how, and I'm sharing this is because observation is going to be a key element for you to improve your emotional intelligence. And most of the observation has from your eyes and your ears. So this is related to that. Now, what we will do is we will watch the next video. Devishpinda, I will request you to kindly play them for everybody.
Yes.
Does it happen during sleep also?
Absolutely. Your body is already constantly sensing. Like for example, when you sleep, if somebody calls your name, if somebody knocks your door, somebody knocked your door. So things like that, body is constantly in a state of absorbing information.
So is it?
When we hear the word emotion, most of us think of love, hate, happiness, or fear. Those strong feelings we experience throughout life. Our emotions are the driving force behind many of our behaviors, helpful and unhelpful. Just where do our emotions come from? Our brain is wired to look for threats or rewards. If one is detected, the feeling region of the brain alerts us through the release of chemical messages. Emotions are the effect of these chemical messages traveling from our brain through the body. When our brain detects a potential threat, our brain releases the stress hormones adrenaline and cortisol, which prepare us for a fight or flight response. When we detect or experience something rewarding, such as someone doing something nice for you, our brain releases dopamine, oxytocin, or serotonin. These are the chemicals that make us feel good and motivate us to continue on the task or behavior. In these instances, the feeling region of the brain kicks in before the thinking part. Sometimes the reactions of the feeling brain are so strong that it dominates our behaviors and we're unable to think rationally in the moment. Our emotions hijack our brain. While many of our emotional responses happen subconsciously, our thinking can influence our emotions, and sometimes this can be unhelpful. Just thinking about something threatening can trigger an emotional response. This is where we can manage our emotions with conscious thinking. Our emotions play a powerful role in the way we experience the world. Understanding and regulating our emotions through our thoughts and behaviors can help us take greater control of our brain and achieve our goals.
Thank you so much. So
Most welcome.
I would like to do a recap of the video, and I'll also tell you why. आप लोग ने burnout तो बहुत सुना होगा कि यार काम करते करते बहुत burnout हो रहा है, stress नहीं cope up किया जा रहा है, and all kind of things, right? So if I ask you what causes burnout, what could be the answer? आपको क्या लगता है? What causes burnout? Anybody?
Fatigue.
Fatigue, okay.
Monotony.
Very nice, monotony. Exhausted, okay. Okay. Yes.
Lot of thinking, excess thinking.
Excess thinking is okay. Mind chatter जो बोलते हैं.
Yeah.
Good point, yeah. Good point. Anybody else? Okay. So recent studies have proven that quantum of work is not what causes burnout. Okay. Why is it important? Because engineering is one field where there is a lot of work, a lot of quantum work, right? There's a lot, a focus required, because you guys go to the nanometer of measurements of the things, and you guys do all that, right? So in engineering, students are known to, be over, like there's a in the market, people talk about it like that, right? So why we experience burnout? It is not the work that you're doing. It's not the amount of study or amount of, let's say, submissions and things like that. It's actually having to do with everything else. Okay. What we are focusing is, we're still focusing on IQ causing stress. Work is basically you putting in your IQ, right? But what is causing you the burnout is the missing EQ part, right? For example, do you have social life or not? वो भी तो important है. If अगर पूरे हफ्ते तुम कंप्यूटर सामने ही बैठे रहोगे और काम करके, तो obviously you're not going to be nice, right? So you need to have social connection, social life as well, right? You need some me time also. Everybody has hobbies, everybody should do certain things, correct? उसके लिए भी time निकालना जरूरी, right? You need to be able to have close connect with someone. You need to be able to share things. You need to be able to go out. You need to be able to whatever work you're doing. उसमें क्या तुम्हारा confidence है? Are you motivated? Right? Are you driven? Do you get rewarded? Like for example, when a student creates a project, when the student brings that project, if you appreciate that student for whatever little effort, even if it is if the project was not good, a lot of effort that went to it. at least that form of appreciation, helps a lot. A little bit motivation. Okay, this time you did it like this, next time I'm afraid you'll do it better. That these things, these small things matter a lot. 80%, remember. 80% of how the person, so how you see this world in your head is how it's going to play in front of you. Right? So it's important to, be able to manage yourself and how you perceive things. And for that, emotional intelligence is a must. Right? There are great people in the history of time जहाँ पे जिनका IQ बहुत ज़्यादा है, but were they successful in real life? Very few. Right? Sometimes you see that someone who's not a very good student in academics, okay, उसने बहुत high scoring नहीं किया, मगर he's successful in life. Right? So it's not always the numbers. Okay. When the students go for a job, there's a lot of pressure. One, to learn new things. Two, to adjust to a new culture. Three, to understand the workflow, the policies, the norms, the culture, all that. Right? Then to collaborate. Right? So all these things are very important. And these things come from emotional intelligence and not IQ. Your academics do not teach you how to, give feedback. Your academics do not teach you how to take feedback. Right? These are all very important things. And as faculty and as teachers, for us, we are the design architects. Okay. So what is a design architect? A design architect is a person who designs how the learning or how the experience of the student is going to be, or anyone who's in that situation. How is the experience going to be for that person? Right? I'll give an example. Canteen mein, okay, if I want to promote healthy eating, right, what I do is everybody knows that in the canteen the line starts from here and goes here, or it starts from here and goes to here, right? So what I would do if I want to promote healthy eating is I would keep all the healthy food items in the beginning in a chronicle order, where the least healthy is in the last. Right? So what would happen psychologically? A person takes a plate, he walks, takes walks, right? वो चलते चलते एक चीज लेते जाते हैं, and by the time they reach in the end, there's hardly any space. So without telling somebody eat this or eat that, you have subconsciously influenced someone to eat a little bit more, just a little bit more, right? You'll be surprised that this kind of experiments have been done in schools all across the world, and people have seen a 25-30% change in people's eating habits. Right. So we as faculty, you guys as faculty, for you to have like an entire whiteboard where it's your choice how you want to make that sense journey, flow. Actually yours, right? So I'll share the again. Okay, it was good view emotionally. So, यहाँ पे बस, and I think this is the last week about the brain. इसके बाद we'll focus on emotional intelligence. But the last part is that we have 3 layers. We have the reptile brain, the mammalian brain, and the human brain. It's called the triune brain. The reptilian brain consists of the brain stem, this part, the red part which I'm pointing at, it consists of the brain and the cerebellum, okay, which is this. And this is basically what triggers your autopilot, which is your fight, flight, or freeze, right? So, अगर तुम्हारा body कुछ threat detect करता है, तो तुरंत decide करता है, assess करके, can I fight this threat, or should I, run, flight, or should I run, or if I cannot do both, then I freeze. Right? बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि लोग freeze हो जाते हैं situation. That is basically your reptilian brain taking control and freezing. Okay. Then we have the mammalian brain. This is called the emotional. Okay. Why? Because most of the emotions and feelings जो भी कुछ होता है वो सब यही से होता है. The memories and all these things. Okay. Then we have the human brain, which is the neocortex. And this is responsible for language, for our imagination, for our cognitive thought process, our reasoning, and everything. Okay. We are going to watch another video, but before that, surprise fact number 1, which is a question. Okay. So, surprise fact, and this question is, what will happen if I remove half of your brain? I will stop sharing and I would like to hear someone, अगर मैं आपका आधा दिमाग निकाल दूं तो क्या होगा?
Some memory loss.
Memory loss, okay. Anybody else?
Maybe
Chapter.
nervous system will not work properly.
What system?
Nervous system will not work properly.
Okay, nervous system will not work. Okay, okay. Anybody else?
I think your personality will be affected.
Absolutely.
The overall personality will be affected.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. So, a very surprising video I want to share with you. Okay. Devasmita, if you can just play that. And this video will blow your mind away. Devasmita, we are not able to hear.
Can you see my screen? Sir?
Not right now. हाँ अभी आ रहा है.
अभी आ रहा है. Okay.
I have
Now
had
is it audible?
when people
Yes,
meet
yes.
me, they have no idea. I only remember my very first seizure. I was at my daycare playing, and the next thing I knew, I was in an ambulance.
We hightailed it to the hospital and just watched her. She had another seizure the next morning, but nothing that they did worked. She was constantly falling to the left, and it got so bad that one of us had to be on her left side all the time.
It was to the point where I was having seizures every 3 minutes, and that wasn't cool.
The doctor explained that the only way they could treat it was to take out the half of the brain that was affected. In very, very early childhood, the brain is thought to be in one of its most plastic states. And if you change the brain at that point, there may be a better capacity for the brain to reorganize.
I am a very positive person. A lot of times I'll joke that they took out the mean side of my brain and they only left the happy side.
If you had asked me 25 years ago if it was possible to take out half the brain and still have functioning life, I would have said you've got to be crazy. But here we are.
Life now with half a brain is, for me, is no different than anybody else. I've been married 4 years. I live on my own with my husband. I'm really glad my parents did what they did because I wouldn't be where I am now. if I had had the surgery any later or had waited any longer.
Thank you so much. कैसा लग रहा है?
That was incredible.
So what she was saying was, what her mother was saying was very true. 10 साल पहले, you know, if you would talk about even a small injury in our head, you know, people will be like, "Aadmi gaya," right? But then the reality is, our brain is one of the least understood parts. अभी अभी लोग ने शायद न्यूरोप्लास्टिसिटी सुना होगा, ठीक है? It's basically our brain is only body part that can instantly change physiologically, right? आपको जो मैं second जो example जो दिखाने वाला हूँ, it is a very live example of it's a very I would say actual realistic example of how that has happened. So if you see this, okay, the psychology of evolution, okay, so there is a person called Tetsuro, okay, and this person came up with something called the cognitive trade-off hypothesis. Okay, so what is cognitive trade-off hypothesis? Where basically our brain evolved to be able to create superior language, but in the process it lost certain abilities related to memory. ठीक है, मैं ये एक pause करके वापस आना चाहूंगा. So there is a little bit of a story behind this. So evolution के हिसाब से, you know, we came from apes. So when we moved from trees and started, you know, walking on grasslands, you know, on 2 feet. So what happened was, we are not the strongest animals, right? हमारे पास बहुत बड़े फैन नहीं है, हमारे पास जहर नहीं है, हमारे पास आर्मर नहीं है, हमारे पास क्लॉज नहीं है, हम उड़ नहीं सकते, हम बहुत तेज नहीं सकते, हम बहुत वजनदार नहीं है. So we are a very mediocre species, correct? बाकी most of the animals at that time were stronger than us. So वो time पे अगर as a race survive करना था, so they had to come up with some solution, and the solution was strategy. अगर as a group, if you can strategize, then you have high chances of living. But strategy को एक किसी भी तरीके का strategy बनाने के लिए आपको communication की जरूरत है, and you can't do who वाला communication, right? You have to have good type, you know, advanced level of communication. So वो time पे certain aspects of short-term memory, right? Our brain decided that we do not need it, and it sacrificed it, and उसके जगह पे the brain developed the ability of language. इसीलिए आज हम इस लेवल, इस काबिल तरीके से बात कर पा रहे हैं, ठीक है? So that event is affecting us even today, right? So, and this will constantly happen, and that's where neuroplasticity comes in picture. Our brain can change. It is limited, so it has to change, remove one, you know, part and replace it with something else. It has to do that. So evolution is crazy. It's amazing, you know. And there is 100 years from now we might be different. Okay. So coming back to the PPT, why is emotional intelligence so important? Because there is no decisions that you make in life without your emotions or feelings which are not influencing. All your decisions that you make in your life have some level of emotional or, you know, to it. मुझे भूख लग रही है, you know, मुझे सोने जाना है, मुझे गुस्सा आ रहा है, you know, I don't feel like working, I don't feel like, right? Everything that we do, it is based on a feeling or based on an emotion. So that's why emotional intelligence is so important. You do not like somebody, it's a right? You do not want to talk to that person because you don't like that person, it's a feeling. You're impacted because of that. Let's say for example अगर आप एक ग्रुप में collaborate कर रहे हो and उस collaboration में एक बंदा जिसके साथ आपकी नहीं बनती, ठीक है, तो वो इसका मतलब ये है कि वो collaboration होने वाला है. If your emotional intelligence is high, not that happen, right? So what is emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence is basically recognizing, understanding, managing own emotions, recognizing, understanding, and influencing others' emotions, right? So it's not that you cannot influence others' emotions. तो मैंने आपको थोड़ी पहले जो example दिया था of the cafeteria, वो that is a very apt example for influencing someone without even telling them anything, right? So how do you build emotional intelligence, right? Where do you start? सबसे पहला है paradigm shift, right? The growth mindset. बहुत बार हमारे साथ ऐसा होता है कि we are very बचपन से we have been conditioned, okay? बचपन से if a kid was born in an orthodox family, उसके उसके maybe thoughts or processing would be orthodox. If a kid was born in a modern an outgoing family, उसके ख्यालात विचार वो सब उसके तरीके से, right? Growth mindset is very important because what happens is since you were growing, first your parents told you how this world is and how you should live it and things. Then your teachers told how this world is and how you should live it. Okay, then your bosses, then your relatives. Somebody is constantly telling you what to do, how to do it, right? But then that's conditioning, right? For example, the word failure, right? यहाँ पे मैं थोड़ा सा I would like to take more minutes in this topic, so मैं वो pause कर. Like the word failure, हमारे report card में F होते हैं, ठीक है? What is success, failure? We invented those words as humans, right? In animal kingdom, no animal thinks success or failure. Animal, zero. We are the only ones who quantify, what is success and what is failure, and it's wrong. The way we are doing it is completely wrong. ठीक है, एक अगर लड़का या लड़की पूरे साल पढ़ाई करता है या करती है और वो एग्जाम देता है और समझो जितना मिनिमम रिक्वायर्ड मार्क्स है वो उसको अचीव नहीं होते, इसका मतलब ये है कि वो पूरे साल में उसका पूरा साल का कोई वैल्यू नहीं. Did the person not learn anything? No, right? Everybody learns constantly. Some people are maybe very good at academics, some are not. Some are very different, spectrums. So failure and success itself, that how we quantify is like really like bad, right? And we need to change these. These are all creating fixed mindset. Some people say, oh, I'm very bad at mathematics. That's fixed mindset. If you practice, you'll be good at it, right? So it's all about putting that effort. There is nothing. You are creating your own world, which means you are creating your own limitations, right? Like whatever you're doing in life, if you feel that you could do more, you can do more. If you feel like you have done this is what you can achieve, then this is what you can achieve. So basically we become slaves in our own world, which we created in our own mind, right? So we basically are most of the time creating our own prison. Yes. So very, very important that we break those fixed mindset thoughts and we have a growth mindset, jahan pe there are many things that we don't know in life and it is important for us to learn. So next going is listening skills. Okay, now listening skills, why is it so important? Because if you remember input, if you're going to be sharing information, if you want to be going to be communicating with someone, you have to transmit it to a medium. And if we talk about verbal, then when you say something, the person listens to it, right? So why is listening skills important? Because most of the times हम क्या करते हैं कि हम सिर्फ वर्ड्स को पकड़ते हैं मगर वी मिस आउट ऑन अंडरस्टैंडिंग, बोलते हैं ना रीडिंग बिटवीन द लाइन्स, वो हम कर पाते हैं because we don't listen active enough, I would say. Okay, so not just what the person is saying, but what is the choice of words, right? What is the pattern? कौन से words पे ज़्यादा emphasis हो रही है? What is there any fillers in the sound? For example, hello and hello, बहुत फर्क है इसमें। अगर आपने एक फोन उठा के फोन किया और वो अगर बोलता है हेलो, तो naturally, automatically, you relax in talking to that person. But if you call and if the person says hello, automatically be a little reluctant in talking to that person, right? And all this is happening here itself. It not necessarily means that it's a bad person. That person could be busy, you could be preoccupied, maybe it's busy. There's a lot of things, but listening is very important. And again, coming back to observations, if you remember, the eyes 10 million bits of animation is passing through, but I'm hardly saw which be information actually may link anything out, right? So it's very, very important that when you're observing some body posture, body language is important, right? Observation of the patterns, all of these things, observation has to be on a detailed level. अगर आप Sherlock Holmes के fan हो, so आपको पता होगा the power of deducing, right? You look at something and you try to create, put logical reasoning with it, knowledge that you have together to understand it. Then comes linguistics. Few linguistics, क्योंकि अगर आप अच्छी तरह से कुछ communicate नहीं कर पा रहे हो, तो miscommunication वाला है। मे बी अगर आपके दिमाग में सही है मगर आप ठीक से उसको बोल नहीं पा रहे हो, it is going to cause a problem. So we also need to make sure that our language is also in flow with the emotional intelligence that we are talking about. Then comes the body language, जो मैंने आपको बताया था। बॉडी, आप शायद जबान से और वर्ड से शायद इंसान झूठ बोल सकता है, but the body never lies. कहीं ना कहीं एंजाइटी, कहीं ना कहीं ऐसे ऐसा कर रहे हो, ऐसे something with their hand or something. So what happens is the body always speaks, but the problem is हम लोग observe नहीं करते. For us those are not important, but which is actually very important. Okay? Then emotional literacy. How do you express your emotions? This is also something that is very, very important, which right now a lot of people don't know. For example, यहाँ पे this slide is finished, so I'm pausing here, stopping the sharing right now. ठीक है? I want to ask a question. आप लोग के हिसाब, how many words do you think are in the English dictionary in reference to emotions or feelings? Somebody had raised that as well, but I think that disappeared. Can anybody answer that?
Can you please repeat the question?
How many words do you think is there in the dictionary which is associated emotions and feelings?
Maybe 100 to 200
Okay.
words.
Anybody else?
I think 250 to 8, मतलब 250 to 300
Okay.
around.
Anybody else? This is getting interesting.
Because there are synonyms also.
Interesting. Yes. That's why how many words are associated with emotions and feelings? Because, like you said, synonyms wo sab yaad aata hai. So, you guys, anybody else? Any other thought? No. Okay. On an average, एक इंसान 25 से like 30 generic words use करता है अपने life on like regularly. Okay. But in reality, there are close to 3,000 words related to emotions and feelings. So हम लोग बहुत
Only about emotions.
Emotional feelings and like related to emotions and feelings. So for example, क्या होता है ना, कभी-कभी rage, and anger, right? These are two different, one is an emotion, one is a feeling. But बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि people cannot differentiate, right? So it's very important. Let's say anger and frustration. It's not the same things. कभी-कभी हम बोलने के लिए देते मेरे को गुस्सा आ रहा है. वो गुस्सा शायद नहीं है, वो शायद frustration है, right? But हम लोग क्या ना बोलने के लिए कुछ भी बोल देते. So that कुछ भी बोल देना it also creates a little misunderstanding, because if you genuinely are able to accurately share what you're feeling, then the person also has a higher chance of understanding exactly that and not anything else. क्योंकि आप जो बोलो तो वही सुनने वाला है, right? So that's why even our vocabulary also is important. What words we are using, we need to be very careful. Happy and joy is not the same thing. They are relatable, they're close, but still not the same thing, right? And हमको ये सब build करना होगा. If we want to be a society जहाँ पे conflicts कम है, misunderstanding कम है, we will have to build all this. Okay. Now that you already see where do we start? See, ऐसा बहुत अभी जो आपको दिख रहा है, this is called how you build your emotional vocabulary. Like if you see here right hand side, you'll be able to see that these are core. Okay, वहाँ से trickle down हुए और different versions of that emotion. So you can see rage manifests in anger, and is more later stage of annoyance or irritation. ये तो मतलब complete नहीं है. बस ऐसा there is no 100% lesson. There is no PV which is 100% well, but gives you a pretty fair idea of how emotions flow. Okay. So I urge you guys to maybe research. Maybe you can download this Pinwheel or this chart, and you can keep it with yourself near your desk when you're working. You see, be able to build your vocabulary as well. Okay. So we spoke about what is emotional intelligence and all that. So, and what are the what are things that you need to focus on to build it? Okay, how do you really build emotional intelligence? How do you develop it? Sorry for that. So, emotional intelligence is always built based on experiential learning. ठीक है, आप कोई भी किताब पढ़ के या कोई भी वेबिनार अटेंड करके आप emotional intelligence nahi build. It's impossible. Why? Because you cannot connect. I'll give you an example. अभी फिलहाल ये मैं वापस sharing stop हूँ, and now I think we can have a nice discussion. आप सब empathy तो सुना होगा, right? According to you, what is empathy?
Empathy is concern.
Okay, empathy is concern. Anybody else?
To feel the pain and share the emotions of another person.
Okay, share the emotions of a person. Anybody else?
You can also type in the chat section. Devashish Swine is telling supporting emotionally.
Okay. So the thing is that MP is what all that you said is true. Okay, but let me ask you this. दिव्यस्मिता, आपसे मैं ये क्वेश्चन पूछता हूँ, आपका कभी फ्रैक्चर हुआ है?
No.
नहीं ना. तो अभी अगर आपके आंखों के सामने अगर मेरा फ्रैक्चर होता है, ठीक है, तो शायद आप थियोरेटिकली जानते हो कि बहुत दर्द होता है, और शायद मेरा एक्सप्रेशन देख के आपको लगेगा क्या कितना जरा दर्द हो रहा होगा करके, राइट? बट क्या आपको पता एग्जैक्टली चलेगा कि मेरे को कितना दर्द हो रहा है और क्या मैं कर रहा हूँ? नहीं. तो नॉर्मली लोग क्या बोलते हैं, एम्पैथी मतलब पुटिंग योरसेल्फ इन समबडी एल्सेस शूज, राइट? खुद को और के जूते में डाल के देखना. बट दैट इज ऑल एंड एवरीबडी इन दी आप देखोगे तो पूरा लिंक्डइन बोल लो या कोई भी प्लेटफॉर्म बोल लो, most people talk this कि empathy is important. सब लोग बोलते हैं empathy is important, but nobody tells that empathy is also biased. Empathy is definitely important. Empathy is 100% important. ठीक है, बट ये भी जानना जरूरी है कि हमारे प्रति जो हम जिसके पीछे इतना भाग रहे हैं वो बहुत biased, right? For example, there are okay, so let me give you a simple example. In abroad, people eat all sorts of meat, right? It's there in their culture, so they don't have any problem. Here in our country, we don't, right? Why? Because it's our culture, we have some beliefs, some values, so we follow that, right? So if a person from abroad would come here and see something mishap happen, he would not be so touched. हमको शायद हो सकता है आएगा, if somebody is ill treating a cow or something, ठीक है, because we have just that human connect, but also like another connect as well, cultural, religious, emotional, वो भी एक connect है, right? But for them it's just food, correct? So maybe the way they empathize would not be the same. I'll give you very nice another example. Let's say अगर आप गाड़ी कार चला रहे थे और आपने एक पपी को ठोक दिया, ठीक है, देयर इज सम परसेंटेज ऑफ चांस कि आपको शायद बुरा लग सकता है और शायद आप कुछ लोकल वेटरनरी के पास लेके जाओगे, ठीक है. बट इस सिचुएशन में समझो आपने एक सुअर को ठोक दिया, ठीक है, व्हाट आर द चांसेस कि आप वो सुअर को वेटरनरी के पास ले जाओगे? हम बहुत बायस्ड है, एंड ये अगर बड़ा
it's about animal lover and human lover. If I would get a chance to choose between a human who is dying and an animal who is dying, I'll choose a human because I am a human first. So it's about that. And again, because we have been keeping pets for so long, so people usually love puppies and cats and all rather than a sewer and all. So but I think maybe if I will have an accident with any animal, I will just take him or her to the vet. Maybe it is any animal.
This is a beautiful. We have somebody who's raised their hand. Yes.
Good afternoon. Can I speak?
Yes, please.
Priyadarshini.
So, in this context of your rundowning the animal, may I just want to say that what is feel and sense? I must understand about that. If I feel for somebody, I must sense for that thing. I must have to sense for that thing. So it is not the matter of about whether you are running over a dog or running over a pig. In fact, if you are running over an insect also, so that must have some feel.
True.
It is not like that. This is the this animal we are regarding as the lowest one, and this animal we are regarding as the highest one.
Very true.
We cannot prioritize these things.
Very true. Can I add one point?
Okay.
फिर भी हम सब तो करते हैं.
I don't agree.
See, I mean, like, everybody has their own opinion.
It varies from person to person.
Exactly.
At least in my case, I don't agree.
Absolutely. सर देवस्मिता ने भी कहा ना कि कौन सा भी जानवर ने ठोक दिया हो वो लेके जाएगी, ठीक है. There are people who do that, but majority of the population does not. And we can all only talk about ourselves कि मैं क्या करता हूँ और मैं क्या करना चाहता हूँ, but not take part for others, right? That is where things, for example, Mr. Das, आपने जो point कहा ना, all of us, अभी फिलहाल 41 people are there in this group. If 41 people have the same thought, ना, that is beautiful. That's how it should be. But unfortunately, that feels utopian thinking. Because नहीं होता, unfortunately. Okay, and अगर होता है तो some levels होता है, right? So very valid point actually, and beautiful thought. Next time when I'm delivering, I'll keep that in mind, and I'll maybe customize my content a little bit more. Nice.
I appreciated that.
Same here.
Thank you.
So yeah, so coming point, it's important if I want to build my understanding on empathy, I need to know what are my biases playing on it. And if I can overcome that biases, that's when, I can be a Devasa or I can be a Mr. Das. Where, I'm not limited to, how I'm impulsive behavior or, not controlled or not managed well behavior, right? So this is all very important, and most of the times you'll see that people don't talk about it because it's controversial. It's difficult to answer. It's there are different multiple takes to it. It's not a pleasant thing. Most of the time, what happens is people have free, smooth, flowing webinar where everything goes according to the facilitator. But no, the more questions. Why do I want you guys to run your videos? Is because if you don't ask questions, like challenge questions, then how is it that, or Varna to is a download here? There's understanding being built. So the beautiful questions popping, from 2-3 people, that is actually adding a lot of value to this, right? So emotional intelligence builds, like you have to talk, you have to share, you have to, ask questions. All that needs to happen. So experiential learning is very, very important on how you can develop your emotional intelligence. That's why even in our organization, we focus our best to make sure that whatever we are knowledge we are imparting, it is to an extent, in some angles and aspects, it's experiential. Okay? Because you cannot recreate everything, but then you can definitely try to provide the most conducive environment for someone to be able to build on their emotional intelligence, right? So we come to some interesting myths and facts. So for example, by learning emotional intelligence, can you control your emotion better? You cannot control your emotions, you can manage them better. Right? Control is a very strong word when it comes to emotions. You can control your feelings, but controlling your emotions is going to be like impossible. You can manage them better, right? Because they're your core functions. They don't need your permission to function. They have their own response. They take charge when they want to, right? And so that's how it is. So with high EQ, can you influence us better? Absolutely yes. If you have a high EQ, you know how to influence another person. So yes, you can definitely influence people. Attending a course not like I already explained, you cannot build emotional traits if you're attending a workshop or a book and things. It's not going to be that way. It's actually essential. Okay. The human brain stops developing or growing at a certain age. So the human brain, like I said, neuroplasticity, the brain is the only organ that keeps, changing and growing constantly till you die. Okay. And about empathy and compassion is key to emotional intelligence. Yes, अगर empathy खुद ही biased है, जैसा हमने यहाँ पे बात किया है, compassion तो is much more biased. Okay, and then we come. This is important. Fact that I want to share. According to Forbes, okay, and according to World Economic Forum as well, by 2025, emotional intelligence is going to be one of the top 5 desired skills in the world by 2025. One. Second is by 2025, the balance between technology and human done work is going to balance at 50-50. Right? You all are into the engineering field, in those sites, which means आप लोग से अच्छा तो कोई नहीं जानता कमीशन कितना ज्यादा हो रहा है, and AI is ज़्यादा powerful, build होते जा रहा है and all that. So very soon in the future, the amount of work robotics and technology is doing is going to keep increasing, and the amount of work that humans will have left will decrease, which means jobs and work related to emotional intelligence are the only jobs that are very secure. So AI भी दिन बर दिन और बढ़ते जा रहा है, बेहतर होते जा रहा है. So there in the near future, we having to work would become very less. So being good at emotional intelligence would also mean that yes, you will have something to contribute towards society, right? And then science they had predicted that by 2030 the world would face a major health crisis. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, we are already in that situation. Jahan pe we are already having a very major mental crisis all across the globe. Sabko wo malum hoga, right? And 80% of your success, like we already know, depends on emotional intelligence, and less than 20% accounts for your IQ. So these were some of the myths and facts that I wanted to share. And if we come to the benefits, it definitely helps you improve your performance in reference to your career. It definitely helps you stay clear from stress, manage stress better, I would say, right? Not just stress, but many other behavioral aspects as well. It helps manage all of it better. It helps you manage your relationships also very nicely. See, we are social beings, okay? We live in a family, okay? We have people, whom we have a bonding, we love, and we cherish, and we have to live, coexist together. So being able to do that is very important. The higher your emotional intelligence, the more happier you're going to have, a family life. Similarly, if you have a higher emotional intelligence, your professional relationships also would be like much what do you call maintained and built better. It also boosts your confidence and your creativity, right? Confidence or creativity ke liye one simple aspect is that you need a little peace of mind, right? You need to have a good space. Why do you think that anyone who wants to do anything creative says that I want to be in a space, or I need to be in a zone or something like that? So for any kind of boost in confidence that you want or creativity, you have to have emotional intelligence. So this definitely helps again. Also, in reference to leadership, right? The higher the position you go into, the more important emotional intelligence becomes. Why? Because conflict management, critical thinking, strategizing, being a people's person, leading the organization without being emotionally dragged into something. All of these are very important things, right? And to be able to handle all that liability and risk, emotional intelligence plays a very, very critical role. Okay, it also improves your communication. If you are able to understand yourself better, and if you're able to understand others better, you'll naturally your communication also increases, right? You do not, maybe your language would still remain the same, but if you work that, then that also will improve. But overall, your communication will definitely increase. Okay, so this is bonus which we have been beyond it. We people have been working on this. So a simple formula that we come up with, and hopefully this formula will really give. So we all know what mood, right? सब कह रहे कि मैंने bad mood है, मैंने good mood, ये सब बोलते रहते हैं. So what is mood, right? So it's a very simple calculation, but it's not simple as well on the other side. So सबसे पहले तो mood is basically nothing but manifestation from emotions and feelings. Okay, but the emotion, the main factor being time inversely proportionate to intensity, right? So for example, if the intensity of your emotion or feel is high, then the time required for it to convert into a mood would be less. Similarly, if the intensity of your emotion or feeling is low, then for it to manifest into a mood, it needs more time, right? So, for example, क्या होता है कि sometimes one bad incident can create a bad mood for the rest of the day. But sometimes what happens is small things happen and then you end up into a bad mood, right? So that's a very simple example of how M is formed. And now since you know it, you can also influence it. Okay. A surprising, amazing fact. एक emotion जो है, okay, biologically, physiologically, a human being, the lifespan of an emotion only lasts for 60 seconds. Only 60 seconds. उसके बाद वो 60 seconds के बाद जो भी duration और वो चलता है, that is we cognitively holding it there. And it only takes 6 seconds for us to understand what emotion we are experiencing. Right? So these are all amazing facts, which we most of us are not aware of. Like if you know that in 60 seconds एक emotion का एक lifespan हो जाता है, and if it is past that duration, you know that you are the one responsible, to keep it in your head. You can easily overcome it. I won't say easily. It takes time, it takes practice, and that's why again coming to another very I never came up, but technical training ऐसी चीज होती है ना कि you give content, you study, you understand, you sort it out, right? But when it comes to this emotional intelligence, no two people take the same amount of time to be able to adopt it or grow their emotional intelligence. Every people has their own world in their mind. That everyone has their own biases, their own perceptions, and their own challenges to overcome. And so the time required for each individual for them to achieve a greater emotional intelligence also varies. And that's why it becomes very difficult to train someone on emotional intelligence. And that's why in our organization we don't even call it training. We only coach people on what best we can, how best they can improve their emotional intelligence, and that's why we don't call it training. Okay. Any thoughts till now? मैं कब से बोलते जा रहा हूँ? किसी को कुछ कहना है?
Yes. Can I just ask one thing?
Yes.
That we have been hearing since our childhood. Don't be emotional, be practical. Emotional बनोगे तो तुम successful नहीं होगे. कुछ भी आप if you show compassion or sympathy or any feelings towards anybody, people, our peers, our elders will tell, don't be emotional. If you want to do something in life, don't be emotional, be practical. Of course, over the years, I'm finding it is a myth. It is not correct, but that myth is still prevailing in the society. What would you like to say?
It's a very beautiful point that you brought. Actually, क्या है ना कि वो लोग जो कहना चाहते थे, वो ठीक से कह नहीं पाए. So वो basically ये कहना चाहते थे कि don't be emotional मतलब
don't be carried away.
Exactly, right. When they say be practical, what they're trying to say is manage it well. But wait, again, because emotionality, the vocabulary that we use to talk these kind of discussions are very less. So what happens is found their own way of telling. And our forefathers and ancestors had their own unique way of bringing reason, into our lives. Like for example, that time electricity was not there, so इसलिए बोलते थे शाम को झाड़ू नहीं मारना. Some people still believe in it, but they had a logical sense at that time why they shouldn't. So they said things like that. Right here also similarly, I won't say that they said it wrong. I would say that they articulated it wrong and we understood it wrong. So what basically they meant by yes, manage your emotions well. There has to be a practicality to your thing as well. You can't be only emotional also, and you can't be only practical also. they both have to, merge. There has to be a synergy between it.
Yeah, that's the reason why emotional literacy is important.
Exactly. So, and practicing emotional intelligence, it definitely builds. It's everybody in the group, everybody in this world definitely already has some level of emotional intelligence. ठीक है, उसके अंदर इनबिल्ट होता है, बचपन से अपने आप वो नहीं होता है. All we need to do is channelize it that way, and make it more focused in what we want it to do for us. If we can do that, then emotional intelligence is going to be one of the greatest tools that we have rediscovered, I would say, in the era. And especially for engineers and technical people, there it becomes even more important, because we are not machines. We can operate like one as well. We operate very differently, and our ways and methods also need to be different. So once we understand that, society start become more nicer and more supportive and everything. So now coming to the next one, how much time do we have? I've not even looked at the time. Oh, we're done. Okay. So just one thing before we go. I think this is a bit important in reference to how you change your mindset, or how do you grow your mindset. Okay. So if you're able to see my screen, you'll be able to see. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So on my screen, you should be able to see a tetrahedron. Okay. And this is an example of this is an example that I keep giving all my students and the participants that come across. A tetrahedron is a very example of how you should actually see this world. Okay. So I have a origami tetrahedron in my hand. Okay. Can you all see this?
Yeah.
Okay. So think of it in our lives. We all are going to come up situations where maybe we do not align or we do not agree. Right. That is where the conflicts also start happening in life. Right. So how do we grow from it? Okay, so if you take this example of a tetrahedron, and if you keep this in mind, it will help you at all times. Okay. So how? I'll show you. So one beautiful point about this tetrahedron is that at no given angle can you see all four sides. You can only see three sides at any given point. Yes? It's impossible to see all four sides, correct? So similarly, like that, if I hold the tetrahedron like this, okay, it's visible to all. If I hold it like this, okay, let's say this is the side that you believe in. Okay, let's say you're talking to somebody and they said something that you don't believe. Okay, that would be this side, right? So somebody said something, you don't believe it, and this is what you believe, right? But what you believe, what you don't believe, not necessarily coexist with facts, right? Sometimes they might be factual, sometimes they're not factual, right? But even if they are factual also, there is always one side which is unknown. And this is where we need to focus. Why? Because you might believe in something, somebody is saying maybe something else. The facts may be something else, but neither do that person know everything in this world, right? For example, we know about how the universe is, right? There are so many things that we don't know about the universe and we don't believe, right? But there is a fact about the universe. But scientists have only been able to discover little. There's so much more we don't know. Right? Similarly, in life, we come across so many people. Every person has lived a different, unique experience. Unique experience. No two people's life would have had the same experience, including us. Right? So when two people have not experienced the world in the same way, how can their thoughts be same? So that's why it is important. We should be open to other people's thoughts as well. No, there is no right, wrong. We created all this. Like I said in the beginning, The world, the way you see this world is what you have created in your head. All the challenges, all the opportunities, all the prisons, that's all your own creation. Right? Right now, the amount of suicide rates in India has skyrocketed because of the pandemic, the loss of jobs. Right now, the financial market is really bad. Right? Now, I'll give you a very nice example. Let's say someone lost a job in this phase. And to make things worse, they maybe lost their loved ones as well. Right? Now, how does that person with all this pain, sorrow, grief, how does that person pick himself, herself up and do what's to be done so that the future is not obscured? But at the same point of time, process all this pain, grief, sorrow, and everything in the right way. That's very important. बहुत सारे लोग टूट जाते, ठीक है, सर लोग बिखरते हैं, बहुत सबको समझ नहीं आता मैं क्या करूं. And why I'm saying is because maybe in the year 2009 I was planning to commit suicide, ठीक है, but luckily I did not. Right? In 4-5 years ago, I was working for World Bank. And I was in Bangladesh, and I was part of a Naxal attack. Okay, this car in there, and I was the only one who survived from the entire, situation. And I honestly, when I reflect now and when I think, it's a second, and the only reason why I survived is because of emotional intelligence. I'll give it full credit, because how I got scared from that point to how I managed myself, how I spoke to them, how I, collaborate, how I collaborated with the other guys who were with me, how did I handle them. जब मेरे बाजू में जो बंदा खड़ा था, जब उसकी ये दो टूट के गिरी थी, at that, मतलब दोनों लोगों ने से काट दिया था. So when that fell down, I did not know what to think because I was next. Right, but in that point, I thought, okay, Sunny, he's coming back. He's coming to you. What is the best thing that you need to do? Do not do eye contact, right? Because eye contact creates conflict, right? Put your head down. That's a sign of submission, right? When he came to me, I raised my hands up. It's like clearly visible, right? So there is no amount of immediate threat or any kind of no sudden movements from my side, right? ये सब किया था, and when they wanted me to empty out my pocket to them, I went to the extent of thinking that अगर अपना रुमाल भी उसके ऊपर डाल के दूंगा तो किसी को पसंद नहीं है, तो that might distract him. He might, not get it. A slight distraction could also save you at times. And exactly like I thought when I put the rumal on the wallet and everything, and when I gave it to him, that person like picked it up like this and threw it back to me. At that point, he is distracted, right? And the same situation when the person came back to me and told me to unlock my phone. Now my phone had a lot of data confidential, right? I was working for World Bank. So what I did was it had a finger scanner in the back. So I typed 3 wrong numbers, and before I can press the 4th wrong, I put my finger in the back. So it opened. So I thought this is the code, and I gave it to him. So all these in a life and death situation, to be able to think, to plan, and to be able to execute. I did not know that I had that power in me. मुझे नहीं मालूम था. And that's why after the incident, I decided I'm going to dedicate my life to emotional intelligence, because emotional intelligence saved, and it can save everybody. Nobody needs to go through that kind of attack or in that kind of situation to realize how important it is. But emotional intelligence is the key. If you want to be successful in your life, it is how you handle everything else. IQ is the skills that you have. EQ is how you're going to apply it. As simple as that. Right? So since we are done with the time and everything, I can keep going on, but we'll stop here. And I hope that because मेरा aim नहीं था कि मैं आपको emotional यहाँ आके सिखाऊं, क्योंकि 1.5 घंटे में emotional intelligence कोई नहीं सिखा सकता. ठीक है, अगर आपने कोई 1.5 घंटे का वेबिनार किया है जहाँ पे उन्होंने वो तुमको सिखाएंगे तो वो भी गलत है. ठीक है, 1.5 घंटे में all I can do is create a spark, that desire to know more, that inquisitiveness, so that now this 40 people or now 30 people, this 30 people at least would look into it, explore it, try it out. And I'm sure once you try it out and explore it, you will see the impact in your life and you will fall in love with it. Please, I urge each and every one of you to do some amount of Google or little bit research on emotional intelligence, because that's the key to the future. Okay, so that's it from me. Thank you so much, Devasmita, for being a beautiful host. Thank you, Alok sir, for being such a nice participant and engaging with me. और else मेरे लिए बहुत ज़्यादा boring हो जाता. And Mr. Nas, thank you so much for your valuable input. So thank you everybody.
Thank you.
I just want to ask everybody if there is some more questions for sir. Anybody wants to ask?
I have a question.
Please.
I have a request rather. Give your email ID and phone number.
Okay, I'm just putting it right now.
Yes.
You can share it with Devasmita. I'll get it.
I'll share.
Okay, I'll get it from them. Okay.
Done. Both.
Sir has given it in the chat
आप तो जिसकी तस्वीर लोगे, मगर ऐसे सारे लोग और हैं जो मांगना थे मगर नहीं मांग रहे, तो ये यहाँ डाल दिया.
There are many people here who wanted to talk to you, but I don't know. They are somehow inactive.
So no.
Alok sir, Alok Agarwal sir, are you there? Because we have a lot of net issues also. Yesterday it was raining heavily and it is not there in most of the places now. So there is another issue. Sankar sir? Sankar Das sir?
I'm here. Yes, I'm here.
Sir, ଆପଣ କଣ ପଚାରିବା ପାଇଁ ଚାହୁଁଛନ୍ତି କି?
No, I listen to all those things, very important things.
Sir is very good in emotional intelligence actually. Sankar Das sir is working in ITR SOA University.
Wow.
So sir does not take any stress. That is a very good quality about him.
The best thing about life is, not having stress and being in a state of peace, true peace.
Yes,
not
sir
just
is like that.
संघर्ष सर फिर तो हमको बात करनी पड़ेगी.
Sir. I learned many things from you, sir.
Panigrai sir? Panigrai sir, are you there? Sir? Satyavrata sir? Satya sir? I think I'm not audible. Also.
You are audible.
To them, I
Possible.
maybe. Chinmay Padi sir. Sir, do you want to ask something? Okay.
So Devasmita, actually topic ही ऐसा है ना कि it is for many people this would be maybe the first time having a discussion around this topic itself, right? So there might be multiple things that are easy to digest. There are maybe some things that are not so easy to digest as well. So I think it will be nice people to take some time, let's say marinate it nicely, and explore it and see how it goes.
Okay.
Actually, I just want to make one comment. Not comment. I want to share one information. Actually, in technical institutes, when people, I have been a teacher in a national institute for last 29 years,
Wow.
and I have seen this, that whenever people see a notice of any seminar or webinar, and the topic is of this nature, emotional intelligence or stress management or holistic mind management, this kind of thing. In technical institutes, the professors, teachers, and researchers, they think that this is not our cup of tea. These are all for psychology people and all these humanities people and all that, which is wrong. But in the National Education Policy 2020, which is coming up, this emotional intelligence and study of these cues are given lot of emphasis. If you see the National Education Policy, I have been studying it, and I have been giving lectures on National Education Policy in many places now, and it is very encouraging and very timely act that government has recognized, or the panel of policy formulators, they have recognized the importance of this emotional intelligence, and then heritage study, spiritual questions, and all these things. And all these things have been included, are to be included in the curriculum, so that a student at his younger age should get a dose of all this, so that the literacy which you were telling, the emotional literacy must develop, and people should not alienate themselves that now this is not my cup of tea, this is a altogether humanity subject, and I'm much more superior to all these things and all this. They should come out of these feelings, and gradually it will. And as you say, by 2025 this will happen, and by 2030 this is going to happen. I think simultaneously the importance and significance and relevance of this emotional studies, emotional intelligence studies, also will increase, and it is increasing. It is increasing. So the response now may be poor, but it is going to come in future. I'm very optimistic about it.
It's 100% true and factual, because so आप 2-3 points जो थे वहां से मैं कुछ बोलना चाहूंगा कि one, I have a lot of psychologists come for counseling. So basically the thing that psychologists are also not free from having their own set of problems. They also just average people like us. The only difference is they are studying the field of psychology, but all psychologists are not having IQ as well.
Yes.
So that's one thing. Second is that emotional intelligence has been in importance actually a lot. For example, ISIS officers, intelligent European people. There are people used to these kind of things, right? But then why? Because, for example, if I'm a, let's say, IPS officer and there's a communal riot going on, I cannot take sides, irrespective of which side I belong to by default, right? I have to see the greater good and make the right decision without my emotions, clouding my judgment. So, so what you're saying is very true, and yes, emotional intelligence, it is unfolding like big, it's getting bigger. Like I was just reading an article where it says that in India, the need for emotional intelligence has gone 6 times higher in a couple of months itself. So people have a choice. Either they jump with the drive right now, जो अभी फिलहाल जो drive चल रहा है emotional का, they can either jump on it and take benefit, or eventually they will have to do it on their own. And one more thing which I want to share is that we as an organization, we take pride that we are trying to create policy level changes as well. We are trying to attempt to be a part of the More School and More College initiative, where we are trying to include emotional intelligence in it as well. So if that works, as a pilot, because we're going to be piloting that. If we can get like a good response from it, and if we can prove by data, to the government, then I think we can have a big policy change as well in Odisha and other states as well. So highly looking forward to that as well. So I agree to your point. The near future is to be very much in need for emotional intelligence.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, from our bottom of our heart, for such a great interactive session.
Thank you.
And making us all aware about something about emotional intelligence. And hope to see you again soon,
Absolutely.
sir.
Thank you
Thanks
so much for the platform, for the introduction, for being a great host. and the kind words and everything, and being so supportive. Thank you so much.
You're always welcome, sir.
Thank you.
And
Bye, everybody.
thank you. Have a good day, sir.